Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo came out in 1994 in the US. As a massive Power Rangers fan, I fondly remember playing this game as a kid, and now almost 30 years later, and still a massive Power Rangers fan, how does it hold up? In this video, I will let you know if I felt the game held up over time, or was it just a nostalgia trip. I will cover each of the area of the game while providing my opinion on them. Then at the end, I will provide a rating of the game. When you start the game, you're greeted with a MIDI version of the iconic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme song. Once in the game, you see our Ranger team standing in an industrial district staring at the skyline. All of a sudden, the sky turns red and Rita appears. Then the skyline of Angel Grove bursts into flames. I feel like this sets up the intro of the game for a Power Rangers fan to know exactly what to expect. This area feels very much so like a scene out of Power Rangers. There are putties running amok in Angel Grove, and the Rangers are there to stop them. The level design for the introductory level, I feel, is very appealing to Power Rangers fans. This level features very basic mechanics, allowing players to get used to the game. You end up making your way to the park, and you're greeted by the boss, Bones. When you see Bones, your Power Ranger morphs into their iconic suit and chases after Bones. The boss fight itself is broken into 3 different phases. We have Bones as we originally see him. Next, we have Bones with no arms. And finally, we have just Bones' floating head. This fight, fairly straightforward and a great starting boss, in my opinion. Your Ranger of choice will be teleported in the second area, which is a wooded area. The wooded area slowly transitions into an industrial district, as the name of this level would suggest. Your Ranger will make their way to an industrial building where they meet Gnarly Gnome. Once inside, we get our first taste of non-beat-em-up style gameplay, which is platforming. Inside has a very factory feeling to it, with all the conveyor belts and large pipes. There are a couple different types of platforming puzzles we're introduced to in this section. We have first, pull yourself up while dodging environmental hazards. Next, we have a wall jumping puzzle to get to higher ledges. Before the boss, we have new jumping puzzles where we have to ride platforms up or side to side and jump from one platform to another. Once we make it to the top, we have a couple smaller areas to fight through, and then we get to Gnarly Gnome. Gnarly Gnome fight is broken into 2 different phases. The first phase, he teleports at a slower pace while doing a variety of attacks. The second phase is very similar to the first, except he teleports faster. This fight can be annoying simply because teleportation and some other mechanics mixed in. However, a well-timed bomb will solve a lot of those problems. Area 3 takes place in the sewers. It's your typical sewer level with floating environmental hazards and a little bit of crawling. After you fight your way through the sewers for a bit, you meet the boss, Eye-Guy. The sewers does allow you to utilize that crawling mechanic that I mentioned, where when you are crawling, there's environmental hazards and then putties behind you with spikes pushing you along. This area also utilizes some swimming gameplay to take advantage of the water levels rising and falling. However, it's not used anywhere else in the game. Eye-Guy is broken into 2 phases using a variety of techniques. The first of Eye-Guy being all together, and the second being the main eye just floating around. Not really too much to say about this area because it's unfortunately very generic, and while introducing some new mechanics and puzzles for the player to overcome, I personally felt a little underwhelmed with this area. This area, a Ranger is traversing a skyscraper that is under construction. I did like the fact that this area tried to utilize environmental hazards that made sense to this level. One of the standout moments for this level is you're on an elevator platform having to dodge the environmental hazards. This area boss is Genie. Genie is broken into 2 different phases, which he teleports around similar to Gnarly Gnome, but not as aggressive in my opinion. Genie attacks do stand out as they are magical projectiles like daggers, beams, and electric eels. This is your typical cave to underground secret lab area. This is the level majority of those mechanics we saw from the previous 4 levels come together, and the player needs to use those experience to complete this level. This level's boss is Dark Warrior. Dark Warrior is a ninja and has a very stereotypical ninja moveset. Similar to Gnarly Gnome, he just gets faster the more damage you do to him. These next 2 levels are essentially seamless. We get a cool cutscene with the theme song in the background of all the Megazords being called and coming together to make the Megazord. This is where the game turns into a completely different style of game. We go from a beat-em-up game to now a 2D fighting game. While not a bad thing, it's just jarringly different from the rest of the game. We get to fight the first boss, Mutanus, with the Megazord, to get a little bit familiarized with the moveset. As you do damage and build up power on each bar, you get a new power to ultimately the iconic Power Slash. I do like the fact that we're fighting Mutanus in the water with the skyline of Angel Grove in the background. Cyclopsis is next. We get to fight Cyclopsis in front of Rita's Moon Palace. Once you defeat Cyclopsis, you do a fully powered up Power Slash, and then he comes back to life. Slightly harder, a little bit more difficult. This part for myself was a little bit frustrating, as I'm not the greatest at 2D fighting games, but if you are good with them, won't be a problem for you. The credits are very fun scene. We get to see our ranger team driving around Angel Grove, hanging out and having a good time. Then we get to see Ernie's Juice Bar with everyone having fun, having a good time, Zack dancing with 2 familiar faces of Bulk and Skull. With all that being said, I do feel like the game was fun with a solid soundtrack. Whether you're a new fan of Power Rangers or just an old fan who've never played this game, or just looking to revisit it because it's been a while, I say the game is definitely worth a playthrough. It took me about 2 hours and some change with some deaths to beat it from start to finish. So it's a very quick playthrough. All in all, I would rate this game 3.5 Power Coins out of 5. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down below if you've played this game and what you think of it. And always remember, may the power protect you.